Greetings and salutations everyone, I'm Mekamek, this is Let's Play Oxygen Not Included. In the last episode we got our 7th duplicant. Another bottomless stomach duplicant, so our food supplies are in worse state than ever before. But he has an interesting trait of being a constant source of light and radiation. We are getting close to it. Our hatchling eggs are hatching. So we are getting close to getting a source of food, it's just still gonna be kinda tight. I need to pause the next time a red bolt is fired so I can show just how much it decays by the time it gets to the material research terminal. So it is already at 4.6 red bolts. By the time it gets to here, it's 4.4 red bolts. When you have to get to 20 applied science research points, that does actually add up quite a bit. But because we aren't the thing is that the technologies for actually making sustainable radiation power, not only are they very power hungry, but they're kind of advanced. The closest we could get would be maybe Wheezewort farming. But we can't plant Wheezeworts. It's an achievement. And the thing is, if you use Shinebug radiation, you have to have a way to sort of trap them in place so they give off a constant radiation in one place, but then you also have to make sure that they can't go near the red bolt generator itself because red bolts will injure and kill them. They only have 5 health. Even these little weaker red bolts will practically slaughter them. Anyhow, new duplicant. He has mole hands. We don't need more bottomless stomach, please. Another iron gut would be interesting. This duplicant can eat just about anything without getting sick, so they have an immunity to food poisoning. The catch is that he has decreased construction, and the thing that I actually want an iron gut duplicant for is building. We can't take another bottomless stomach, it just isn't in the budget. I guess you can be a builder? No. What you can do... You can take over Catalina's supplying job. Also Steve! Steve is interesting because Steve was added in the latest patch. Alright, we can set Nisbet to high priority decorating. And I guess high priority doctoring. Anyhow, we have the research we need there. But that's not what we wanted. We wanted to get to solid management. Although I guess I should just mouse over and show what each of these things do. So, the conveyor receptacle is interesting. If you use the conveyor chute, then it just drops the item that reaches it on the ground. The conveyor receptacle is more like a box that powerlessly and automatically fills up with items. So you could, for example, stick one in range of these and route... Yeah, those are all copper. I was wondering why the colour was different. Stick them all in these conveyor receptacles and have it pump food to these things, so they can. So the auto sweepers take the contents of these boxes and puts them in there. The reason why the receptacle is good and not the conveyor chute is because it creates a sort of buffer system, as opposed to a drop it all on the floor where it is and have duplicants pick it up and put it back in the storage boxes. Basically, this is going to be a little venue for the food. We put a bunch of storage bins in here. We put an auto sweeper and a conveyor loader in this room. We set these as storage bins to hold hatch food, and it'll slowly pump it all over here and stick them in the conveyor receptacle for when they need to fill up the critter feeder. Which means less time spent filling up these boxes, filling up the critter feeders by hand, and more time actually doing the ranching at the stations. Now, what else was there? The conveyor shutoff is an automation grid. So, if it gets a green signal, then any time an item reaches the white input, it gets shoved onto the green output, provided that there's power. There's no way for us to control which... It can be used as a rudimentary filter, but we don't have that sort of tech yet, so we can't do that. I think it's more of an... Actually, I don't think there's any sort of technology that we can make use of it with. Whoops. Oh well. The conveyor meter controls a certain amount of items to go through it before it locks them off. We can't make this because we don't have plastic. The solid port loader and the solid port unloader. Now this is rocketry stuff, so we can't do anything with it yet. But what you do is... you have your rocket platform installed somewhere. You have loaders and unloaders, and they'll actually put things into the rocket's cargo. Or, alternatively, they'll take things out of the cargo. There's definitely more useful things than the the conveyor cargo, but it is good to know about that already. And finally, this conveyor receptacle fitting and conveyor loader fitting. So these allow you to transport things inside the cockpit of the rocket. That's where things get more interesting, and again, much better with things that aren't the conveyor rail system. Oh dear, what happened? You'd better dig that up straight away. Jean has a new skill point. Might as well be in suit sustainability for the extra athletics. Unfortunately, it's Jean's break, so we aren't doing any cooking. Anyway, I only ever work in sets of 20 for these red bolts because every now and then this thing can glitch out, and I hate that because it is such a wicked waste to see the red bolt travel straight here and evaporate because it got passed over by the materials study research. But I also don't go into batches more than 20 because if you go over 20 red bolts, 25 power red bolts makes 100 red bolts. This can't hold any higher than that. So if you do spend more than that, then you risk it overflowing and wasting even more of your precious uranium ore. Ashcan. The thing is, I like having it set to do infinite mush fries and to set all these just to do infinitely, but that means that It ends up overlapping so you can't actually see how close they are to completion. I wish that would change. There's no extra food up here. And if we dig up this, then we lose the plant, and we still need plants. Eventually we'll get out all this grub fruit here. Eventually. We might actually need to dig faster here too. Problem is we had to cut through a lot of abyssalite, and we only have one person that can dig through abyssalite. Okay, we should start to see this ranch fill up now-ish. But then there's all the elderly hatches. They need to be replaced. It actually might be a good thing that we went for more hatches than we need, because we're going to need more meat than we're getting. Oh good, muckroot. Hang on, I think I built this the wrong way around. Darn. And I think we might need to build a shortcut here, just dig straight down, because they spend so much time going back and forth. And then the oxygen generation isn't looking too good. It's all just a big mess. What I should try and do is... So, if you click on the See All tab, it brings up a list of all the resources that you have. You can then check these off, and they'll show up here. So this gives me a good look at how much algae we have, and therefore how close we are to running flat on algae. Because when we run out of algae, we need to either have a way to convert slime into algae and just deal with this slime on it, or we're going to need a proper oxylizer setup, and we haven't even started researching that. The system is going to be very messy. In fact, I think what I want to do is start digging diagonally like this. Building the ladder straight down is taking too much time. Just make sure to keep track of where the stable sand is, because you need to make sure you build a way for them to get back to the base. So these critter feeders to just be 5. We want to focus on grooming them rather than... We want to focus on keeping them tidy rather than focusing on putting food in, because we can always put in food after we get them all clean up. Actually, I think we should probably turn down the priority on this, because we aren't going to be able to finish this research until we get this laboratory plugged up and connected. But I don't feel like we have enough databanks is the thing. Yeah, we have 10. The research takes 30, so we'd need to find quite a few more before we can get what we want. And since the time is done, that's probably a good time to show off a new lesson. I guess I have explained how duplicate morale worked, but so yeah, keep on top of your duplicate morale. They get it by food, but also from environmental decor, so if people's stats start getting a bit out of hand, we might actually want to create somewhere to sweep all these materials up to. Like over here, we've got plenty of blank space over here. Build a tile here. Oh wait, there's something here that we never dug up. First of all, check. Are there any shine bugs in this area? No. Open this door up so they spend less time opening the door and can just run straight through. That's the thing. Mechanized airlocks are actually quite slow if they aren't powered. They're as slow as the manual airlock. The advantage of the manual airlock is honestly that it just takes less metal to create. It can't be automated, it can't be powered to open faster, it doesn't have a vacuum bonus. Drekos. Drekos are actually a thing that we kind of want to get our hands on for ranching purposes, but not ranching for meat. They're actually kind of a... Right, the thing about Drekos... Actually, maybe it'd be easier if we just showed it off. 98% of laying Dreklet eggs. 2% chance of laying glossy Dreklet eggs. They need to eat mealwood to do that. Their backsides are covered in thick woolly fibers that grow only in hydrogen climates. So they're kind of a pain to ranch because you need to have a lot of hydrogen up high for them to stay in most of the time. But then the food that you want to give them, you either want to give them balm lilies, which have absolutely no requirements for domestic growth, so it's resource positive to feed it to them, or you need to feed them mealwood so they turn into glossy Dreklets. And both of those have their own atmospheres that aren't hydrogen that they want to grow in. Kind of a pain. The reason that we'd want to get our hands on glossy Dreklets, though, it doesn't say what they like to eat. Oh, well, okay. Drekos are a reptilian species boasting millions of microscopic hairs on their feet, allowing them to stick to and climb most surfaces. The tail of the Dreko, called the train, is purely for decoration and can be lost or shorn without harm to the animal. As a result, Dreko fibers are often farmed for use in textile production. Caring for Drekos is a fulfilling endeavor thanks to their companionable personalities. Some domestic Drekos have even been known to respond to their own names. So the thing is, I've been complaining all the time that, oh, there's this thing that I really want, but I can't have because plastic. Glossy Drekos don't give ribophytes. They give bioplastic. You can get plastic by ranching Drekos. It's really slow, but it's absolutely worth it because otherwise you have to try and get into the oil biome to get your hands on plastic. The downside is, well, we're going to have to get past Locavore. If we could dig just a little bit further, we might get a bit more oxygen. I mean, there's not much oxygen down there, unfortunately. If we dig this up, it shouldn't flood this little alcove. Kind of in a sticky wicket here. Actually, how close are we with food? We're in a bad situation with food. Oh wait, no we're not. We've got barbecue now. I can't tell. Was that because... Okay. Yeah, someone got into the drowning trap and gave us a meal. It's unfortunate, but it's the way of the world. Oh yeah, that's a lot of food. But we've also hit the 50 cycle points, so we have to look here. We have 27,200. So we're currently ahead, as long as we get 7,500 meat per day. But we aren't quite at that point yet. So there's going to be... Okay, let's cut the corner here now. I'm going to power this refrigerator. It doesn't sound like a good idea, but the thing is, at some point I might have to switch everyone over to only eating meat. And if that happens, I need to make sure that everything else that they could eat is kept in cryo refrigeration so that it doesn't... I want to slow down its rot time as much as possible. The important thing is to keep an eye on basically keep an eye on how much meat we need per cycle as we approach the cycle 100, because if that number eclipses 9,000, we need to take another duplicate, otherwise we miss out on the achievement. Actually, oh dear, we've got rotting food over here. We've got lots of rotting food. We have to keep digging. Well, at least you're hard at work digging our way through there. Actually, the other thing we could check is how close are we to Locavore? We're actually pretty darn close there. Of course, the most important thing that we have to find after we're done with solving the food problem Abe needs to get out of there, and Abe needs to eat. Because this duplicate will die if they can't find food. I think he's going to eat an entire barbecue by himself at that rate. We need to keep going. We need to get these spindly grub fruits. We need to cook them. We need to release the Sweetles. The Sweetles are fine as they are, but even so, better to free them now than later. We need to solve the food situation, but after that we need to do a lot of excavating because somewhere in this world there's supposed to be a teleporter and we still haven't found it. And actually, the fact that it's so far away from the base is kind of a pain. The teleporter is pretty much two-way. The problem is that it has a cooldown, so if we send someone through there, we can get them back, no problem. But then we have to wait 5 days before we can send them through again. And the other end of the teleporter is going to have absolutely no utilities, just a lot of food that we can use to buffer out the time. Just a bit of food to give them a time buffer, basically. The problem being that if every trip has a 5-day cooldown, then it's going to be a while before whoever we send through can just stay there indefinitely. Because remember, you have the same rules that you have for the start of the game. You need a toilet and you need water to clean the toilet, to clean your hands with. And there's not always going to be water in a nice and easily accessible location, which is why I really wanted a duplicate with Iron Gut. I don't remember which one that was, but... Right. Like, I want an Iron Gut rocketry duplicate because rockets are very cramped places. But I also want a building duplicate with Iron Gut because then they can just build a toilet. They don't need to worry about washing their hands for the food. Because they can't get sick from food poisoning. They don't need to wash their hands. The reason that they have to wash their hands for everyone else is because, well, manners. I guess we should install a few mess tables as well, but... Yep, these are going to be polluted by the time we get over there. Either way, it's definitely past the timeout, so until next time, guys, take care. We'll see you all around. Oh. Ooh. Nothing there that I feel particularly interested in, so let's go for the copper ore.